Hey guys, it's me again, Dreaming Drina, and today I was on Clubhouse per usual. And this club stuck out to me not because I'm a photographer, but because of grants. I love free money. Anything that can help me out with my business, health, offset some of my expenses, I'm going to jump into. So this is a really long group. It's a long video, but I only did like a fraction of what the room was really, the length of the room. It was really long, but great knowledge, great information. So some of these ladies, I kind of screen recorded their Instagram handles. You need to follow them. They are giving free knowledge. They gave away a list. I emailed the moderator for a list of grants that we can all apply to. It's like small businesses, minorities, women business owners, just anything. Just if you're into the knowledge, you really have to look for it. One of these ladies on here, let me see what her name is. Can't recall her name right now, but she was basically saying she does 90 minutes every week. She puts aside 90 minutes on Sunday just to look for free money and grants. And the way she talks about the way she gives the storytelling off rip, I'm just so inspired and intrigued by her. Definitely followed her, and I'm going to send her an email just because I want to be in contact with her, see if she wants to be a mentor. But Clubhouse has just really been motivating me and inspiring me. So, furthermore, without more talking, just follow the video, skip through, skim, whatever you want to do, but just make sure you're taking away some of the knowledge because there really is a lot of stuff to take away from this video. So this is all about grants, free money, Beyonce. One of them is a grant called the Getty's Grant. There's grants out there, people. There's money to be made. Let's go get it.
Got it. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. That's a great question. Victoria, you just joined recently. Did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Hi, ladies. Thank you for doing this form. I'm Victoria. I've actually applied to so many grants and I haven't had any luck. And I actually invested in a grant writer. And so, Polly, I know that you mentioned that you sat on a grant jury prior, and so I just wanted to see on the recipient what exactly are these grants looking for feedback just to do better for the next time that I apply. And I'm also, since I'm very new, I don't have too much visibility yet, and so I know that some grants are willing to help business that are completely starting from the beginning, and they're trying to get their website up, all those things. So if you just had any feedback from your side, because you are seeing applicants, that would be extremely helpful. And I know you said that it was the Getty grant, but anything could help.
Yes, I can speak on that, and then I'll allow others who have been applying and the ones who've joined to speak on it as well. So I mentioned earlier, for those who just entered, that I was recently one of the judges for the Getty Images Grant. I think it's in partnership with one of their umbrellas, like iStock. I'm not sure, but the top prize was $10K. Applications closed right after the elections. And I mentioned how I tweeted it out a few times. One of the tweets got over 1,200 retweets, but at the end of the day, only 250 people applied. About 250 is what I was told. And so one of the things when you're doing these grants and they have the jury or whoever the committee opens, check to see who's on the committee or the jury panel and reach out to them if you can and see if they can give you any feedback. I know it's a much smaller pool than Beyonce's Bay Good, so I've actually had two people reach out and request that additional feedback. So I'm going to set up those calls and give them that because they don't know how far they made it along the process and what I don't want to say did wrong, but what they could improve on for the next time around. So something like that, it's much smaller. You already know who's on the jury. You can see that for particular grants and reach out to folks because the grant themselves, like Getty, is not going to say, oh, this is what you can do better, but maybe the people within the committee can actually speak to that because they're the ones who are part of the judging process. For me, I guess disclaimer, they did their first wave, so I didn't see everyone who applied. But what they told us was that basically when it came down to there was the finalists, but before that it was just a lot of people who didn't even make it to the finalist round just didn't give a clear vision, just didn't clearly articulate what they would do with this, what their purpose of this project was. It wasn't one of those that you actually had to break down the numbers, like Ariana mentioned. It was very open-ended, so you didn't have to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do with the 10K. You didn't have to, give an outline. It was really just how can
we see a lot. I mean, I know, Ariane, you mentioned having a team of people to help you. Sometimes I feel like, if I had a team of people, just to assist with it, but it can be a lot. And another thing I also wanted to just kind of, since we have Ariane in the room, is that one of the grants that I won never even like reached out to me. They sent me an email. They wanted my 1099. They said that you are one of the finalists and we need your 1099 by this date. And it was like 2 days. So had that message went to, excuse me, had that message went to spam, I wouldn't have even gotten the money. And then once I actually completed it, got them my 1099. They wanted a copy of my EIN paperwork, got them all of that, submitted it. Never heard back from them. And then I'm going to my mailbox at my place of business, and there's a check in the mail, literally a $15,000 check sitting in an unsecured mailbox. I never got any correspondence. And I was just like, wow, I know, Ariane, you mentioned that really, promoting yourself after you receive the grant money and putting yourself out there as a grant recipient. But I just like, now I'm looking on the Poise website, they have me listed, but they don't have my bio. They don't have any information. They just have a link listed where you can go to my website.
Man.
So,
That is wild.
So just to clarify, it's crazy. So for the past 4 years, I literally take at least 90 minutes every single Sunday. And that 90 minutes is strictly looking for money because, manufacturing feminine care is so expensive. It was like 2.5 million for all 4 machines. And like, yeah, I had to go a roundabout way to do it. But I think because I'm in tech, I have the privilege of like knowing what investors look for and like what those conversations look like. So when it comes to, I guess, storytelling, it just comes off a little bit easier, but I'm finding that the formula is the same no matter what grant you're applying for. So I'm always telling people, like, if they're asking you like, hey, what do you do? Instead of like, yeah, I own a business that like has lashes and virgin hair, you could say like, 80% of Black women lack self-esteem and confidence in the workplace. I have an innovative company, or, I have an e-commerce site that helps increase self-esteem in Black women through providing lash extensions, hair extensions, and other things to make them feel that their best self. Then you can talk about like the industry as a whole, and you can talk about how like COVID has fucked up self-esteem and people are battling depression and anxiety. So like when you're storytelling, you could almost take any product and turn it into that.
Woo!
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Thank you, ladies.
And Leslie, I agree. Sorry. I'm sorry. You can go.
I wanted to add along those lines. Well, first off, hey, ladies. So I was in the same position earlier this year where I was applying to so many different grants, pitch competitions, and it just felt like nothing was working out. So I completely scrapped what I was doing before, where I was kind of prioritizing the story and then, of course, the problem. And it just didn't seem like that was working. So instead, I decided to completely scrap that and instead put more focus on the impact that we were having. So I went back. I have a service-based business. So I went back to every business owner that has ever, signed up for our platform, and basically send them a survey and was like, hey, can you give us like testimonials or just let us know, if you gain a certain amount of sales after, using our services or anything. And using that approach, it worked so well for me. I would say that in the past 30 days, we've been able to rack up $80,000 in grants. And this is coming from having nothing over the summer, the past couple of months. So I would say definitely prioritizing the impact they're having and being able to quantify that in some way, shape, or form.
Thank you so much for that. Michelle?
Oh, no, I was going to piggyback off what Leslie said about not knowing that you're receiving something, because I also applied for the Facebook small business grant for small business or Black businesses. And I just happened to check my account and I saw the money there. I was like, oh, I didn't know, and they just told me to send something over within 2 days, and then yeah, and it just showed up in my account with no like notification.
Let me go check my account. No, no, but
Now,
seriously,
was this your bank account or like
Yeah,
an
it was my bank
ACH?
account. They had
Same
asked.
here, ladies.
They just told me
Same
I
here.
was a potential grant recipient, and I said, okay, I'll give you my information just in case. But then I just saw it in my account a couple of days or a week later, so I didn't even know if I was actually a recipient yet. But I assume that's why they asked for that information. So
I might need to actually send you a message regarding this whole Facebook grant thing.
I think some of these companies are doing just enough so that they don't get fucking canceled in the future, and so that they can say, "Well, no, look, we support Black people," because some of the communication is like very bush league. But I mean, I'm thankful for the money, but still.
wow,
I agree.
yeah,
I agree.
that is such a missed opportunity. Yes. Okay, I brought a few more folks up on stage. I want to make sure people's questions get answered. Lauren, welcome.
Hello. I think my question might have got answered, but I just whenever I apply to grants, I'm just curious about what the best way of approaching it is beforehand, like reaching out to people on the panel, like, and just making it, I don't know, just making it more known that, or a better opportunity for you once you apply. Because I'm a writer and filmmaker as well as photographer, so I really try to incorporate like storytelling within my grants. And I just don't really know what I'm doing wrong in terms of applying to grants. I'm just curious if anyone has like a set formula or like just tips to help with that. But I'm pretty sure my question's been answered a bit. But yeah, that's what I had.
Can I add something that kind of adds to that, Warren? So in a past life, so we're not talking about COVID or pandemic or even me as a photographer, but I've helped a lot of people with grant writing and have gotten some pretty big checks along the way. One thing that's also important that I'm not hearing a lot of you guys mention, not so much for the artists grants that are like with an art agency, but for the companies and things like that is, you know, kind of like what you said, Michelle, not everybody's really truly doing this out of the goodness of their heart. So like find out what speaks to them. Like what can you say that is in their wheelhouse for what they do as a company or like other things that they supported along the way. Like don't change your story. Like still be authentic with what it is that you have to say. But if you can tailor your story to fit their narrative, you're more likely to successfully get the money.
Leslie, Michelle, Ariane.
I definitely agree with that. I, especially for the recent grant that I received from the Poise Bounce Back, I really tailored my information on the fact that I base my photography business off of empowering other women, and my brand is all about helping women with their brands. So I feel like that did help me because I looked at what the past. Sometimes it's also good to look at the past winners and see, you know, what their prototype is for someone that wins the grant. I'm a mom. I'm a business owner. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years. My business model is based off of helping other women. So I feel like that definitely they looked at that, and also with the Beyonce grant as well. Like when they reached out to me, they said, "We love what you're doing with the community. We love the pictures, the beautiful photos of Black women that you take." So, I mean, sometimes you just fit what they're looking for. And if you don't, I guess you can kind of just like tailor your story a little bit more to fit that. I don't know if Arian wants to chime in because I know she's won a lot of grants. I'm sure across the board, not just specific for, you know, being a Black female business owner.
I'll say, always, if it's a corporation, always go straight to their like mission statement, their values, all of that, and leverage the hell out of that. Also, flattery goes a long way. Like when we started stocking restrooms at Marriott, I went to hell just going through their mission and values and figuring out how, you know, our feminine care offering could align and support their customers.
And I feel like it's the same for most corporations. Not only that, impact goes a long way, and like doing your research goes a long way. So if you look at like past partnerships, you would also be able to say, like, okay, one good example. In my video for Beyonce's grant, I lost my daughter to stillbirth in 2018. It was on life support. But I had no idea that Black women were 46 times more likely to die in pregnancy and labor. So Femly has physical products, but we're building out a digital product that helps decrease some of the disparities in healthcare, right? And like in the video, I said, Beyonce was affected by preeclampsia. Serena Williams had blood clots in labor. Kim Kardashian decided to get surrogates because her preeclampsia was so severe. So at scale, Femly is a company that like meets the needs of the entire freaking feminine life cycle. And I think sometimes just having that edge to know a little bit about who you're targeting is what puts you ahead.
Oh my God, I my heart goes out to you, Ariane, because I know what that feels like. I also lost a child stillbirth too, and it's very traumatic. I've never put that as a part of my story, but yeah, I could definitely, yeah, I definitely know what that feels like, and yeah, that's really interesting. Is that how you came about with your company, or?
So oddly enough, I actually, in 2013, I was diagnosed with a cervical tumor. And my doctor here in the DMV was on the board at the NIH, and they were linking it. They were linking brands like Always, Kotex, Tampix, and Playtex with fibroids, PCOS, and endometriosis. So that's what really got me started. We started as a subscription box. We actually grew to about 5,000 people. And then I said, you know what, fuck this. Like, we need to make our own products because we're not having the margins that we want. We can't help people and give away products like we want. And we just wanted more flexibility and like control,
Awesome.
I wasn't sure who I don't know who said anything, but about being specific, like it's very important, I think, because also I didn't add that I did say I'm very specific. I sell very specific niche items, like they're super African inspired. One is Lulo's African inspired clothing, home decor, and accessories brand, and then I have the IO project, which is very niche African inspired greeting cards because I didn't see them at the stores. Like I was going to Paper Source and all these stores, and I didn't see anything that imitated what I grew up with. So that's why I started, and I did speak about those things. And the NAACP is actually doing a lot for the Black community now because I know Beyonce's grant is with, or Beyonce's organization is working side by side with the NAACP for that Be Good grant.
Thank you both for sharing that. Thank you, Michelle. Lauren, does that help?
Yes, thank you, all of you, for sharing those tips and just being so open. Really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Martin Day?
Hey, Polly, nice to finally meet you after following you all over the place. But hi everybody. My name is Martine. I'm a creative director slash wardrobe stylist. I am very adamant about getting grant funding because free bands, free money. I'm all into that. But my thing is, like, I know I have good ideas, but I'm sure everybody feels like that going into, grant submission, like, oh, they're going to choose me, or, whatever, period. But I feel like it's something off with my approach. I just recently filed for my LLC to be a legitimate business for wardrobe styling, so I can, I've been styling, but I never took it that seriously. But now I'm really like into it, and I want to take it places. But my thing is my approach. I don't know how to really go about approaching a business grant for my specific situation. Like in my shoots and everything like that, I represent Black women specifically, Black people specifically. Of course, there is starting to be a range of diversity, but I try to incorporate more, like, I guess you could say, like, not as conventionally attractive, or that's what I want to do. Like, that's what I want my niche to be. Like, I wanted to incorporate more unconventionally attractive people, just so it can be more representation than just, oh, look at that sexy black person in this magazine, they're representing me, when really, like, you don't see yourself in them, or whatever the case may be. And also is just, I don't know what to say. Like, I haven't won a grant, so I'm just like, um okay, like, how do I even talk? Like, I don't like to talk about myself, but obviously I have to get over that when it comes to approaching grant writing. And I don't know, like, I really don't know what to
Girl, get
say. I
off the
know that's probably been
stage.
talked about. I got here kind
Boo.
of late, sorry. But I also wanted to know if there was like a list of the creative grants that I could, if anybody already has it, can probably, of course, I'll do my own research, no big deal. But if you already have it, let me know. So that's all.
I can kind of chime in. Being a photographer, I know, like what the role of a stylist is. I think the key to getting funding and grants and things like that, though, is that they want to see what you're doing to help people. So, in your role as a stylist, I would create a story about how you're helping other women to feel confident about themselves. They also want to see that you're giving back to an extent. So, maybe perhaps linking up with a nonprofit and do like styling women that are looking to get back into the workforce, offering your services either, for free or at a discounted rate. They want to see that you are, putting yourself back into the community and helping others and things like that. So I would say as a stylist, that would be something to look at. And definitely, if you were applying for a grant, say that I would use this money to help style women that are, maybe looking to get back into the workforce. Maybe they're unemployed right now. Maybe they could potentially even be, without homes or different down on their luck, single moms, and just doing something to help others. And that's what sets you apart from just being a stylist and working with the elite. Because if people hear that you're a stylist, they might assume, oh, you're a celebrity stylist, you're working with the elite, you have plenty of money, why would we want to help you? So you have to kind of change the narrative a little bit, and make yourself look appealing to be a grant recipient. As far as a list, I am putting together a list. I think that Ariane left, but I believe that she mentioned that she had a list of grants as well that she already has on her profile. Sometimes grants are specific to your location, so with that, you may want to research, the area that you're in, down to the county, down to the city, state, or what have you. But yeah, I hope that helps.
Thank you, Leslie.
Actually, thank you.
And one thing I heard from, Leslie, Michelle, and Ariane through and through, and Mandy, really is they have a clear, distinct brand and voice with their brand. And I think a lot of times we just are so caught up in doing that we don't, set up our business side of things and our marketing and what we are and how we, just really present ourselves. I'm a photographer, Leslie's a photographer, but others here had different, companies and whatnot. But if you look at their brands, Essence has a brand. It's very distinct. Has that distinct brand voice. And I think a lot of us, we should just spend more time, really defining that, and who we want to work with. One thing Leslie said that I think would also be good, is just reach out to different organizations and foundations and see how you could help them, in that giving spirit, and see if there's any ways to collaborate on that end, because there's a lot of women centered organizations I can think of, charities, events that would probably utilize your services at some point.
Polly, we have another grant winner for the Be Good grant recipient. She's in here. I don't know if you want to pull her up. Her name is Destiny.
Stephanie, raise your hand. Destiny, raise your hand if you'd like to speak. That's amazing. Thank you for that, Essence. Martine, does that help? And I also have a list that this other woman, this artist, I'm forgetting her name at the moment, but if you DM me, I will find it and I will share it with you. That she curated herself, and it's like I think it was like, I don't know, 30 plus. It was a long list of grants, art residencies, exhibitions, etc., etc., that she curated. But as Leslie and others said, it's also, Ariana made the point that she sets out 90 minutes every Sunday to look for this money that is out there, 90 minutes every week. So there is a lot of work to be done on our own end as well. Welcome, Destiny.
Hello, sorry, my husband is being real weird, and I didn't know, Brian.
Yes.
I have a quick question.
Yes, go ahead, Taylor.
Hi, ladies. So my question is there I know that you guys probably already touched on this as well, but just to kind of get more into detail, is there a difference in regards to how you're approaching grant writing when it comes to a service-based industry versus a product? So I have one of my business partners, Sarah. We have a digital marketing agency specifically focusing. We work with majority of women, specifically focusing on beauty, health, and wellness, as well as fashion companies. However, we do need more resources in order to scale. So I was wondering if you guys have any advice on that piece, and if there's a difference in regards to how we can approach that, in addition to, of course, like, giving back to the community and things of that sort.
I can chime in on that. Oh, Taylor, I love you. I love you since I lived in Jacksonville, so I've seen you.
Oh, girl, hey!
Yeah, I've seen you
with
me out with Jan Bart's boutique.
Oh, yes,
yes, girl, I love you. So I'm a long time follower of your brand.
Love you too. I just followed you.
Yes, before my husband got really trying to bust in the room and being weird. But speaking on the Baked Good grant, since I'm specifically a mostly service-based, I'm like 90% service-based, 10% product-based. I think in conjunction with this grant, because I won three grants. I won Digitally Undivided, which was I think $100, I'm not mistaken. They was doing small micro grants. Then I won the Hennessy grant, which I don't think most people know they've already awarded for that, because they really didn't do a good job as Beyonce's organization is doing about, hey, we have awarded people. And also the Baked Good. And what I did specifically for the service, which I took a lot of what Arian has been, I'm friends with her on Facebook, so I see a lot of the gems she dropped before she started doing a lot of the individual grant classes. The biggest thing about service industry is the impact you're doing, as far as how you've helped, I guess really how you've helped other people through your service. So as the key component definitely is, I know everybody's been saying it, it's definitely what you've done outside of the community. But especially with these grants, speaking of COVID, most of them want to see what you've done, what your impact, and what you've done to pivot through COVID. So since these grants are mostly COVID driven, so specifically for me, in both the Baked Good and the Hennessy grant, I made sure that I wrote what I've done, even if it wasn't like making PPE or anything like that, but what I've done to drive sales directly to the consumer. So for me, I started implementing one-on-one patch classes and doing more consulting on how to actually get started in the embroidery space, because that's what my business is, and also being more fluid in getting the product out to customers. So even though it's kind of weird to do meetups because of COVID, I have a pickup spot at my virtual office now. So I've talked to the lady that runs it. I'm like, hey, can I meet people here to give them products to cut down on people paying for shipping, because that saves them money. So those are the things that I drove into my service part, as far as like making sure I did what I had to do to get the service, but making it easier for the consumer to get the item from me, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to make it easier for everybody. Of course, on top of helping the community in Atlanta. And I think that was a big point that Leslie mentioned. It's like a lot of the things that you do, you can get it just from your city. Like I missed, I think, 2 big grants from Atlanta because I was so focused on the national scale things that I missed a lot of the stuff that was locally in my county, because the CARES Act gave money to cities specifically, and the cities are holding this money and nobody is grabbing it because people are looking for these big companies, when like the city of the county of DeKalb has money in Atlanta. The county of Fulton has money. And I look back for friends in Florida, like Duval definitely has money, but nobody is looking there because they really want to see your impact in your city. And especially for you, Taylor, like you got a list, ma'am, that you can dive back and literally say, I've done this, I work with this, and I'm still driving those sales. So with the service base, you definitely have to show how you're working with the consumer, like working with your consumer to get them what they need, even in the times that we have. I hope that helps.
That does. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Oh,
sorry. Who was that, Mandy? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say one other thing that really helped me with this grant and with a couple of others was just one. So I also have a service-based business where we help connect consumers to different Black-owned businesses. And for a while, I would kind of, say, oh, we're helping Black-owned businesses and, we're helping them gain this exposure and the resources. And that was great. But things didn't start to shift until I was able to go back to the people that we served and ask them different questions. When you